Welcome to this week's episode of the Perceptive Readers, a podcast series made in the Product of Culture, aka Pop Books website's office. Hi, I'm James. Welcome to the Perceptive Reader podcast, Perceptive Readers. I had me some very nice laughs and chuckles this morning as I, did some of my own projects that I enjoy working on for the jamespoartistry.online website. And I wanted to take the time to reflect and talk about a subject that someone else was talking about today. I won't cover every topic that the person brought out, but it is in this, I guess you could say, needed addressing of one topic in particular, because I've heard it now enough over the years that the reflection of my own knowledge of what some of the prophets of old had to do, for the God in heaven, was to actually sometimes relate the absurdity of a certain belief in this way or that way. You see? And I want to assure you that even though I'm going to relate this information, it doesn't mean that I'm making light of the knowledge that this person was relating. In fact, this one person, you see, when they go into some of their topics that they're talking about, if they actually add additional information or they move from one subject to the other, they may feel like they're not going at a fluid rate. And then, once they get to the end of whatever their discussion was, they sometimes say, I just hope people understood what they were saying. And this is what I want to relate to you along that same type of spirit of thought, is that for a lot of persons, you are perfectly clear in what you have related. And I like to tell people that because of the simple fact, sometimes people feel like, with their experiences, that, and the public doesn't help with this at all, that they may feel they're not as, smart, intelligent, wise, or what have you, or even spiritual, because of the way that they feel and relate certain matters. And I want to say again that, when I talk about people who have literally really gone crazy, I've stated that sometimes you have a lot of people who went crazy because you had very sincere, honest persons forced to deal with dishonest environments. And I still stand by that. So now, with that already said, I want to address something about a teaching that this is the reason why, when God even made his challenges in the Bible to other gods, well, it was Pharaoh. Every one of those plagues that God placed upon Egypt was actually showing his authority and power over the gods of Egypt. And that's one of the reasons why he did what they did. Because remember, those persons literally placed their confidence and their faith in their lives in those different gods. And so what God did was show that, to use the word, your God's impotent or what have you. I mean, this is what he basically showed, that there was nothing that they could do that could stop the true God, whose personal name is Jehovah, from doing what he was going to do, and that he could defeat them, he could beat them, and he could do it with no problem and without a drop of sweat, so to speak. But with all that being said, there's another faith, if you will, that people put in today, and it's also involved with you hear the term manifestation. And that's why, I like to state to you that yes, I use that word manifestation as well, but I'm still talking about it in a different context than what some people are talking about in. Some people will say, well, it still has the same results, and I'm not here to argue that. What I'm just saying is I know where my focus is and what I'm really considering. Okay. And sometimes the disagreement in the belief system as the way that it works, that's one of the reasons why you can have two what I call jovial and maybe even generous human beings still have a major disagreement in this area, and because of one looking at the other one as not being as smart in using their manifestation powers, if you will, and it's because it's still a different belief system or way of viewing matters. And that's another reason why what I'm going to tell you, some persons are looked at as if they still have limited beliefs because they don't have the same type of belief structure that these other persons may believe, even involved with manifestation. So what I'm going to share with you now is the belief about you have the universe, and that the universe actually don't know the difference between when you still have a good-hearted, sincere person who may be still associating with what other people may view a very bad-hearted person. See, isn't that something? Now, I could go into scriptures that does talk about bad associations, spoil useful habits, etc. But see, this is still really not the situation of what I'm going to tell you many of us deal with today in workplaces, our professions. You see what I'm saying? Every day, market. You see, market transactions and money and things of that nature. You see what I'm saying? For the most part, the whole world is still really based on a certain way of having to function with one another to get things done, that it still falls under the principle of what Jesus was talking about, where he was talking about love your neighbor as yourself, you see. So, that other advice, where sometimes, people go real deep into the point of saying that, we don't even believe the same. And, what does Christ have with Belial or what have you? Well, whether you got people worshiping Belial and you got another group of people, worshiping Jesus Christ, if you will, those groups of people still have to overall interact and get things done every day together. Now, no matter how, I'm going to tell you, Satan's world keep trying to separate us even on that level. That's not the way it should be. That's not the way it's supposed to be done. But see, that's why I have to address what I'm telling you now about the universe, because this person explained, and I've heard this before, so I know a lot of people believe this, that the universe don't know the difference. And if you got basically a sincere-hearted person, still allowing, so-called allowing, I'm using their words because it doesn't mean they're allowing it. And see, that's my point. This other person to treat them badly, steal from them, abuse them, or what have you, and yet they're still really applying Jesus' words about how you're supposed to treat your neighbor. You see, the one that even is being abused. Then they say the universe is basically not even smart enough. Isn't that something? To be able to tell the difference. Because the universe is still take it as if you are in agreement with that person abusing you. Isn't that something? Universe is so unaware, so oblivious, so maybe, dumb. That's why it makes it sound. That it can't understand or recognize the difference between a person still having to interact with others in such a way just to maintain the peace. You see, just to maintain the peace, because no matter how it may look to others, you still don't really know why this person is in this situation or that situation. And that's what I've been explaining to a lot of you all along, that a lot of people are just in situations where it's like, you know what? You can't always just quit a job just because you're being abused by persons who don't like you. Especially when you have all these class and caste systems in place where it's almost like, yeah, you quit a job, then what? You can't protect your family, you can't take care of your family no more. And you're already saying the universe, the way that it seems to look, that the universe just not going to still know exactly what's going on with you. But no, but let me really emphasize this point on the universe. See, the real God, the true God. See, that's why I say again that, sometimes people say, well, whatever force you call it, God, the universe, or whatever. No, see, it's not the same. Because the God that many persons pray to and worship, they know that God can tell the difference. That God can tell the difference and know when somebody is literally really being taken advantage of and abused and this and that. And yet, you just have these dishonest environments. Because I still want to address something that I told you that I notice a lot of people take this stance. And I say, yeah, they have their right to do so, to do things in that way, to protect themselves in this way. But I told you before again today, there's a lot of ways of teaching people that in this dog eat dog world, that you just have to be selfish, that you have to totally only watch out for yourself. See, and I'm telling you, with that type of view, see, you got some persons that they'll continue to emphasize how they will never reach out first in this way or that way or what have you. And see, I'm just telling you, they have that right. But according to Jesus' teachings, the goodness that he talks about, it's proactive. So one thing about Jesus' teachings as well, it's like you're proactive and good in helping others, but it still doesn't mean you force your views upon others. But guess what? It doesn't mean still you ignore others when you know they need a helping hand. You don't keep putting, as we used to call, the screws to that person where it's like, okay, you're recognizing a situation that you're saying even the universe, quote, universe, can't even recognize. You know this person is being abused and taken advantage of from the so-called clans and ones who got the money. Okay, the clans and ones who got the money, and yet you still doing through sometimes secret conversations, I guess, with these different persons, or what have you, or innuendo a lot about maybe you need to leave that person alone. You need to leave that person alone. And then mad that some of the good teachings that the person still applying from their heart and conscience, that may be being affected by the prodding of God's Spirit, at least helps alleviate the situation somewhat. But you're saying, the universe don't understand. And so as long as you still be nice to that person, say hello to that person, greet that person, then the universe is taking is you're okay in approving of the abuse or the theft from that person. See, according to these persons' belief system, the universe don't understand. I'm here to tell you today, according to my belief system, I know good and well that the true God in heaven, whose personal name is Jehovah, understands. You see, and knows the difference. So I brought out this earlier so that now you can at least see why I'm continuing to emphasize that, people can do what they want, but we still need people who are going to be in a better situation to be more proactive than that, more considerate than that. Instead of everybody walking around trying to be just judge and jury, you see? No, they realize that it even comes to a point in every single occupation, where if you see a grand injustice going on, it's not grand, but a huge injustice going on, and that's why I used the example about Jesus being the one to step up to save that woman from being put to death, then I don't care what occupation anybody has. If your heart is being moved, and you certainly have the courage, then you should speak up. Then you should do something about it like Jesus did. You see? And we're not talking about vigilantism. No. Well, I'm literally talking about reflect back to days on playgrounds of little children being bullied and beat up when you had a whole group and circle of other children around that I'm telling you, instead of one person or two persons really maybe just getting, in between saving the child, no, they just all went along with it. So this goes to show you that people can have their own beliefs, but the point is some of these beliefs, these applications, clearly goes to show that spiritually they're wrong and they're not affecting people's hearts the way it's supposed to. Here it is, like Jesus, a lot of persons are saying God is love. God is alive. God is aware. God is all wise. But though the teachings of just there's a universe that just can't even tell the difference between when somebody in their heart is still applying certain principles that their conscience and the Holy Spirit is telling them to apply. You see? The true God in heaven sees and knows what's going on, but yet this other belief system in the universe can't tell the difference. That tells you something right there. That really tells you something right there. And I'm going to tell you something else about the belief in the God in heaven and the God of love. Another clear deviation of you got this teaching over here that's all pertaining with the universe and with the true God. See, persons who are Christ followers, striving to be Christ followers, they totally realize that just because you don't like a person, that doesn't give you the right to attack them. See, the reasoning there, that is crooked. The reasoning there, that's on the verge of insanity. So, I keep saying, these people cannot justify hurting another individual because they think that individual full of themselves. Because guess what? Guess what? What if the individual is full of themselves? Has that individual slapped you physically? Has that individual stolen anything from you? Has that individual even said any cross words to you or what have you? No. And yet, you've turned around and still took all those means and used them and more to attack this individual who hasn't done anything to you in that way. And you know it's like insanity when you come to find out how much that individual who may be full of themselves, even people who are full of themselves, boy, can have a lot of love and passion towards ones, even their own enemies that they don't even know about. Now, isn't that something? So the whole point is this. It doesn't justify it. And that's what I'm here to tell you. The world that we live in, no, it's not good enough trying to still blame this individual while they're being abused and try to talk through innuendo and this and that. No concrete proof because nobody want to stand up for what they really know. You see, something that a person could go to court with. If the person can't go to court with it, then the person can't do nothing because they're not functioning in that way of hearsay and slander. And that's why I'm telling you, as a citizen in the United States of America, that is, see, no matter how people want to try to ignore it, okay, you believe in these teachings of the universe over here. Well, I'm here to tell you the middle ground still today, somewhere between the true teachings of love and the two greatest commandments of God, then right in the middle, we still have ethics. Ethics that if they're not applied, it still tears down the economy. It tears down people. It creates that dishonest environment that I told you about. So, even all the persons who believe the universe functions in this way or that way, you know what? I really hope you have in place something of a form of intervention, if you will. And that's what I talked about again, the code of honor or what have you. Unless you're telling me in your type of spiritual view, no, it's quite all right to allow abuse to just go on. When it is still in your power to do something about it. See? So, until you can, as they say, get your own self in order with that type of understanding, you know, you can't really, at least according to the teachings of Christ, be jumping on this other person that has too many scriptural and spiritual principles that say, you know what, as far as it depends upon you, you be at peace with everyone. And that's why that responsibility still falls on the community, or really that citizen that really has to prove, that knows what's going on. And if they got the power to do something about it, then they supposed to do their part. And I told you, you just got too many people still trying to keep things going through innuendo and slander, even if you got facts of the matter or what have you, instead of handling it according to Matthew chapter 5. The God that I'm telling you about in heaven, it's all knowing. It's all wise. He is all wise. And he knows how to tell the difference. So you got a choice. You got that universe that don't know the difference. And then you got the true God in heaven who does. Have a very wonderful day, Perceptive readers. Until next time, you take wonderful care of yourself. You see, and if for some reason I want to say a quote from Les Brown, there's greatness in you. Take care. You have just listened to the Perceptive Readers Podcast. Remember, until next time, if you read something that encourages you to improve or enhance your life for the better, it becomes your reality.